So the experiments are done. The models have run. You've got the data. You've done all the hard work, right? But now what? How do you actually get those amazing findings from your lab bench onto the global library shelf? Well, let's break it down. And this is the question every single researcher runs into. You could be sitting on a major breakthrough, but right now it's all just numbers and spreadsheets and scribbles and lab notes. Turning all of that raw data into a polished, published paper can feel like a huge mountain to climb, but it's really a journey we can break down into clear, manageable steps.
First things first, let's get our heads in the right space. You know, publishing isn't just some chore to check off your list. It's really the final critical step of the entire scientific process. It's how your work gets validated, how your private research becomes public knowledge, and how you make a real, lasting contribution to your field.
Okay, so before you even think about typing a single word of that paper, we've got some essential groundwork to do. Trust me, a little bit of prep work now is going to save you a ton of headaches down the road. This is all about building a rock-solid foundation for a successful paper. Here are the two big ones you absolutely can't skip. First, you have to validate your data. And that means you've got to check and double-check and maybe even triple-check every single calculation until you are 100% certain it's clean, reliable, and correct. And second, you need to strategically pick your target journal. This one decision really sets the stage for everything else, from who your audience is to how you format the paper.
As soon as you've picked a journal, your first mission is to find their author guidelines and read them carefully. You need to ask, is my research a good fit for their scope? What's the exact format they require? Following these rules to the letter isn't just about jumping through hoops, it's your first chance to show the editors you're a pro, that you're serious, and you pay attention to the details.
All right, with our foundation firmly in place, it's time to start building the structure. The best way to think about a research paper isn't as some kind of creative writing project, but more like a roadmap. It's a universally understood format that guides the reader logically from your initial question all the way to your final conclusion.
And here it is, the whole shebang, the classic anatomy of a research paper. From the title that grabs their attention down to the references that back up your claims. Every single part has a very specific job to do. So let's zoom in on a couple of the most important sections, the ones where people often get a little tangled up.
Let's kick things off with the abstract. Seriously, think about how powerful this little paragraph is. For a lot of people, this is the only part of your paper they will ever read. It has to be a perfect, tiny version of your entire study. No fluff allowed. Just what was your objective, what methods did you use, what were the key results, and what is the single main takeaway? So if the abstract is the what, then the introduction is definitely the why. This is where you set the stage with all the necessary background info, skillfully point to a specific gap in what we currently know, and then, boom, you clearly state how your research is going to fill that gap. This is how you hook the reader and make them care.
Now, the methodology section is all about one thing, reproducibility. It usually comes in two flavors. For theoretical work, you're laying out your governing equations, your assumptions, your derivations. But for experimental work, you're basically giving a tour of your lab bench, describing the setup, the instruments, how you took measurements. Either way, the goal is exactly the same. Give another scientist the perfect recipe to do exactly what you do.
Okay, let's talk about the big one, the place where so many new authors get tripped up, results versus discussion. It's simple, really. The results section is just the facts. It's the what you found. You just present the data using tables and graphs with zero interpretation. Save that for the discussion. That's where you get to explain what it all means, compare your findings to other studies, and really explore the implications of your work.
Okay, so we've got the skeleton of the paper down. Now let's talk about the writing itself, the universal rules of the road that signal true professionalism, no matter what field you're in.
Think of this as your professional polish. You want to use formal, academic English, so you're going to avoid personal stuff like I think or we believe. Make sure your ideas flow logically from one to the next. Use standard SI units, that's the universal language of science, and number everything so people can easily find what you're talking about. And of course, your grammar has to be perfect. Every little typo can kind of chip away at your credibility.
And honestly, none of that technical skill matters without this. This is non-negotiable. Your work has to be 100% original. No plagiarism, period. You have to report your data honestly, no cherry-picking the good stuff and hiding the rest. And authorship must be assigned correctly to reflect who actually did the work. These ethical standards are the absolute bedrock of science.
All right, you've done it. You've written the paper, you've checked it against all the professional and ethical rules. Now it's time for that final push, submitting your manuscript and navigating the whole peer review process. This is it, the final mile. First, format your paper perfectly to the journal's template. Write a short, professional cover letter that explains why your work is a fantastic fit for them. Then you submit. Now, eventually you're going to get comments back from reviewers. The key here is don't take it personally. Address every single comment objectively, point by point. Think of it less as criticism and more like free consulting from experts who are helping make your paper even stronger.
So what does this all boil down to? Well, getting published isn't just about having amazing data. That's only one piece of the pie. A journal is looking at the whole package. They're weighing the quality of your data, the logic of your paper's structure, the depth of your analysis, the professionalism of your writing, and of course, your commitment to ethics. You've got to deliver on all fronts.
Look, this whole process is tough for a reason. It's how science protects its standards and builds on a foundation of truth. But your work has value. It deserves to be part of that conversation. So, the only question left is, are you ready to do the work to share it with the world?